Hello, everyone. My name is Jeff Coga, and first and foremost, I would like to welcome you and thank you so much for being here today. Now, before we get started on today's training, let's do a quick sound and audio check to make sure you guys and gals can hear me. So if you can't hear me loud and clear, please do me a huge favor. Type in the chat box, yes, Jeff, you can hear me as well. I know many of you guys and gals we have personally spoken. Rima, finally you got on. Yes, all right. Jimmy, I don't know how the heck you're on this training, my friend. We got to figure that out. Deanna, what's happening? And again, for the folks that are on here, Sherry, Sally, Patrice, what's up, Nancy, Liz, Kenneth, Julie, Joseph. Joseph, we just talked. Actually, you know what? Let's do this. Joe, do you have a mic? Joe, I'm going to unmute you, my friend. Oh, you're self-muted, Joe.
Hello?
Joe, can you hear me?
Yeah, can you hear me?
Good. Real quickly, did you run that campaign?
I did, but I didn't do 500. I ended up doing like almost 6,000, and then my phone's going crazy right now. I did. I let it go to voicemail.
Hold on, Joe. So you did 6,000 instead of 500 when we just talked?
Yep.
Okay, so anything positive other than what? Your phone is lighting up or what?
Yeah, I'm talking about right now as we speak, people are calling me. But I let it go to voicemail. So I probably got like 3 voicemails and the rest are just people that called me. So I got to call all them back.
Okay, now out of the 3, anything positive, as in like say, hey, I'm interested, gave you an address or something like that?
One of them gave me an address, said they possibly interested in sale. They're interested to see what my offer is. And
okay.
The other one was telling me that they wanted to know which property they were talking about. So.
Okay. All right. Now, you know what I like, Joe? The fact that we just literally talked on the phone and we were just like, hey, go do 500. You just did the complete opposite. I like it because now you see the power in that, right?
Man, this is crazy. It's a lot of leads.
Okay. So what advice do you have for people? Because you've been following me since like the Instagram days for a while now. So what advice do you have for people on here that's just getting started?
Just take action right away. Don't overthink it, and it causes you to procrastinate. Just follow the step-by-step instruction and take action.
Yeah, and then the other one is this, right, Joe? Do I really pick up the phone? I simply call you if I got a question.
Right, you called me. That's what I like. I sent you a text and you just went on and called me right before the training.
Yeah, you're right. Because I just can't stand there just sending you a text, right? And then we talked a lot about the deeper side of understanding the business side, right? So, but anyways, appreciate it. Stay on it. And again, if you got those 3, go after those first, man. Those can easily be 5, 10, 20 grand that we talked about, right? So.
Hey, you already know it. I'm on it. I'm on top of it.
Thanks, Jeff. Bye. All right, so folks, again, if you're not leveraging me for high-level strategy, again, I don't know where you guys and gals are at, but it's okay. But let's talk about this, okay? And the reason why I'm doing this particular training on this topic is based on some of you guys and gals who reached out to me, there's still some confusion, okay, on why I do the things that I do and why I recommend certain things. So this training is all about this week is how to never buy leads from lead vendors and how to harvest your own leads. You heard Joe right now that talked about, he says, man, I have way too many leads that I need to follow up on, right? But I'm going to break this down and break down exactly why we do the things that we do and how that applies to your business. And throughout this training, if you have any questions, do me a huge favor, just type them in the chat box. And if I cannot answer them, I'll simply unmute you so we can have a conversation just like I did with Joe on here today. All right, so let's go and get into this. So here's what you're going to learn, all right? We're going to talk about the old way of doing business, and then we're going to talk about how a cognitive bias have been deceiving you and what really works to grow your business, all right? And I'm really passionate about talking about this part of the business because I think, folks, if you've been in the business long enough, especially in our industry, right, we have been sold everything and anything that you can possibly think of. They'll say, hey, this thing will fix your business, that thing will fix your business, right? And I want to talk about this because once you understand this, you'll understand why and how you'll never get deceived, and as well as how to get it going for your business, okay? Then we'll talk about something called the WIAL framework, okay? And how this framework will help you understand why you do not have a lead generation problem, all right? You'll simply have what I like to call a conversion and follow-up problem. And then we'll talk about the 3-tier inverted triangle to understanding how to get any leads you ever want. And then we'll make sure that we have a live Q&A. And so make sure you have a mic, or if you do not have a mic on your phone, make sure you call in so I can unmute you and we can have a conversation. For the folks that asked, I think I just saw a comment that popped in. I think it was Rima, what campaign is Joe running? He went after vacant houses. So he is an investor, wholesaler himself. So he went after that. All right, so let's talk about this, all right? Old way of doing business and how a cognitive bias have been deceiving you on what really works to grow your business, all right? And again, if you have any questions, type them in the chat box. So what are some of the lead generation of getting more business? Type them in the actual chat box right now. I'm trying to get you guys and gals to interact with me a lot more because that's how I operate, that's how I roll, all right? So type it in the actual chat box. I do not want it to make it a one-way thing, all right? So we got door knocking, direct mail, all right, and some of you guys and gals who have not put that, I may have to just unmute you, all right. So Facebook, direct mail, Google, PPC, phone call, Facebook ads, all right. So here it is, okay. Here's the many things on here. Door knocking, right? Door hangers, cold calling, direct mail, flyer, postcards, every door direct, bus benches, billboards, TV, radio, networking, right, shaking hands, events that you create, fax machines, right, sales teams, sales floors, right. These are kind of old way of, in my opinion, doing business. All right. Is there anything else that I've missed? Let me know if it's in the chat box. All right. It's just interesting how some people, when I say old way, some people are actually putting like social media and PPC and stuff like that. All right. So this really boils down to when I say old way, right? I break it down into these 4 parts: print, broadcast, direct mail, telemarketing. 4 fundamental ways. Do they still work? 100%. All right, and print includes advertisement in newspaper, newsletters, magazines, brochures, and other printed material for distribution. So if you're sending newspaper, right, or a article or magazine to your database to drum up business, you're doing that. Does it work? Yeah, it still works. The question is how effectively, right? Or is there a actual thing that you can do that's cheaper that's giving you more results? Broadcast, right, includes radio, television, commercials, as well as specialized forms like on-screen movie theaters, advertising, etc. Okay, I've actually done literally all of those. Right? We used to do some little radio stuff and television stuff from my original mentor, Bart, in Los Angeles. He was the guy who created the vanity phone number industry. He passed away now, but he created the vanity phone number industry, and he started doing it in Los Angeles. There was a phone number called 1-800-NO-AGENT that started in this, and as well as something called Cash for Houses that he started on this, as well as 1-800-SOLD-FAST and things like that. So those were marketing phone numbers that has like a name to it. And he started that industry in the real estate space during the last .com boom, right? Where 1-800-PETS and stuff like that, right? So again, he started that, and he was my original mentor, and we worked tons and tons of stuff like that. All right, direct mail, do they work? 100%. What are some of the stuff? Includes flyers, postcards, brochures, letters, catalogs, and other materials that are printed and mailed directly to the consumer. And then what do we have? 4th one, telemarketing, includes requested of calling, cold calling of consumers over the phone. All right, these are typical the 4 stuff. Now, some of this stuff is going to be refreshers for some of y'all who has been following me for a long time, which is okay. But please pay attention to this stuff, because this stuff is going to be the thing that I'm going to stack on and how I'm going to try to change the way you look at just lead generation, marketing, and growing your business, all right? So I started asking the question, what does this all mean? All of that mean, okay? And then I simply simplified it to this. I said, hey, it's traffic plus conversion equals a prospect, right? When I was doing all those old way of marketing, right? Traffic as in, hey, send it out to generate some calls, and then if I generate some calls, direct mail, hey, conversion. You try to have a conversation with them, and if they want to sell or something, guess what? Now you have a prospect, right? So you put them in a kind of a nurture follow-up if they don't want to do business today, and you want to do it later, all right? Please follow this, okay? Now, what are some new way of doing business? Okay? Now, I want to talk about this new way because it's going to tie into things that other people are going to start to talk about, because I look at marketing from people outside of our business. Because for whatever odd reason, our industry is like literally the last people to start using it. And I have a, hunch and why people do that or why people don't actually use it is because we have a growing older population in our business as well as some new breeds of people that are coming in. And a lot of the older generation people are literally hammering the old way of doing to the new generation people. Now, there are unicorns, right? Like if you guys and gals are on here, I would say you guys and gals are unicorns because you're trying to learn the new way of actually doing this, okay? But I think predominantly that's one of the reasons why, people are still, saying, hey, do this, the old way stuff, all right? Now, do they work? Yeah, it does, okay? But let's talk about the new way of doing, okay? Online ads, all right? This is still a new way. I don't care if you're buying it from Zillow, getting it from Trulia, getting it from a lead vendor. It doesn't really matter if you're doing it and or you're paying someone else to do it for you, okay? So what are those? Like Google PPC, right? Display Network, AdWords, right? Etc. Facebook PPC, LinkedIn PPC, Bing PPC, or whatever PPC that you can do. And under online ads, you have something called media buys that you can do where you can literally buy into other people's network to have them send emails or have them actually promote it on their website, okay? So whatever it is, it's a form of communication, okay? Now the next thing is starting to become very popular. And you may start seeing it, which is called behavior consumer data marketing, or in other words, is behavioral targeting or behavioral marketing or behavioral segmentation or something that has the term behavior in there. All right, now what is the term behavior? It means that they're literally saying, hey, based on what people are doing on the internet and or through purchases offline or even online, all right, they're saying that these individual has a much higher propensity to take action of doing something, i.e., they have a higher behavior to move, higher behavior to sell a house, higher behavior to get married, higher behavior to do whatever it is. All right? So it's called behavior marketing, behavior segmentation, behavior consumer-driven data, whatever it is, okay? So as a marketer selling these products or services, you're going to see a lot more of this. Okay, so pay attention to that. Now, other things, a new way of marketing is retargeting, remarketing via using PPC, and it says see online ads above, right? So, which means that they, as an individual, took action and went to your website, did something, and then you're running a back-end campaign to get in front of these people. All right. Now, if you don't know any of all this stuff means, just take notes, okay? Because the more you hear me talk about this, it'll kind of tie into a lot of the stuff. All right. But again, these are literally the new stuff. All right. What are some other ones like pop-ups, like via websites, kind of old, right? But still via pop-ups. There's mobile pop-ups, right? And then another one that's becoming very, very popular in our industry is like ISA or VSAs. All right. What is it? Inside sales reps or virtual sales associates, right? Okay. Meaning that they're saying, hey, delegate the sales component to someone outside or bring them in-house. All right. Have you ever heard of someone talk about that? All right. Now, why is that? Is because a lot of these things are going to be tied into a cognitive bias and for something that we're going to talk about, right? So now, what are some other stuff, all right? Chatbots, right? Via Facebook, Twitter, IG, LinkedIn, and even MySpace had chatbots, all right? Which are what? Literally robots that makes it look like they're individuals, all right? And they go out and like leave comments, like your pictures and stuff like that. Or if they respond to you, it automatically responds back, right? It exists, chatbots. All right, and there even is like IVR on the phone system. That's another one that's the IVR. I didn't put it on there, but really it'll start getting into that where it's voice recognition. So if the other side answers, then you can actually put them through an IVR phone tree. And literally, I'm currently right now investigating that because it's becoming so much better. Okay, and then we got funnels, right? People talk about online funnels. Oh, lead capture pages. Put them into this. Put them into that. Okay. Now, is there anything else on this? And I want to make sure that you guys and gals are following this. Okay. Now, you don't have to know exactly how to do this, but I want to talk about that this stuff exists. Okay. And I want to make sure that you are aware of some of these terms. All right. Because it's going to become more popular, especially the behavior stuff. All right. Now, ISA, VSA stuff is becoming real popular, and people are trying to convert this stuff. Okay. So, any questions? Let's see here. Direct mail, door knocking, cold calling, great stuff. What campaign? I think I said Rima. I already answered that. He's running a vacant campaign. All right, great stuff. Great refreshers. Okay, cool. So why am I telling you this? All right, is because people are going to sell you stuff into our industry on what is better, what isn't better. So when I discovered something called a cognitive bias, we all have this, for my folks that have background in how the brain works, right? Psychology or whatever, you're going to be like, Jeff, you're talking about elementary stuff, okay? But I want to talk about this because it exists in marketing, it exists in things like that. Sherry said video marketing, correct, yeah. So it's a part of a communication, right? So a type called confirmation bias is the one I want to talk about. Because in the sales and marketing world, this is what we use to make y'all buy stuff, make y'all do things. Okay, so let's talk about this. So what is this? All right, to explain this, what do you see on the screen here? Let me know. Please interact with me. I try to make this as fun as possible. So please, what do you see on the screen? Type it in the chat box, please. All right. Oh, we got some people saying I see a duck. Other people say I see a rabbit. Some people say I see both duck and a rabbit. Someone says pelican head. Okay. First I saw a rabbit, then I saw a duck. Okay, good. Okay. Great. Okay. Now what do you see here? What do you see here? It's not a trick question, but, someone says dancing stick figures. I see one on the dancing with the music. I have 3 in the background dancing. Cool. All right. So let me go ahead and show the third one, okay? Are you ready? Please interact with me, or if you're not typing in or something, at least pay attention to what I'm telling you, because this is going to help you understand, one, how to do marketing that actually gets people to respond to your stuff, and understand how not to get into these little shiny object syndromes of what people sell you, okay? What do you see here? Type it in. What did you see first and what do you see next? LOL. Okay. All right, good. Okay, someone says, wow, I cannot believe you did that. Okay, so depending on what you see, your mind is somewhere else. All right, because most of the people who said in the beginning, hey, I see 2 people stick figure dancing. I can't see something else. I can't see anything else. All right, so we know where your mind is, all right? So literally, depending on what you see, is either 2 stick figures that are dancing or a female body part. Okay, of course the guys are going to can't see anything else, right? Okay, now if you notice this throughout this, all right, training in the beginning, I have been literally showing this image ahead of time on the screen. All right, these stick figures throughout the training. And why am I doing this? I am priming you guys and gals. All right, I'm priming you to making you see the thing that you want to see. So for a guy, it's going to be a little bit harder on this because it is a female body parts on this. But the females who saw stick figures on this, it's cool. All right? Now, why am I telling you this? Because we tend to listen only to information that confirms our preconception. One of the many reasons it's so hard to have an intelligent conversation about things like climate change, politics, religion, and anything else that's considered taboo, like money. Right? How many times have we've seen people get really heated up about any of these topics? Right? Politics, religion, money. And you simply cannot. Now, clearly, if we're on here, many times we're very, we're open to a lot of suggestions, advice, and we're open to see the other counter perspective so we can have this discussion, especially the folks that have been with me for a long time. You guys know this. I challenge the status quo. So, and this confirmation bias will sway you into things that you should or shouldn't do. And this is why I tell people in business, all right, business is not about a leap of faith. It is about leap of skill. Way too many people will go ahead and put too much things into faith. All right. Now, there's nothing wrong with faith. All right. I'm a firm believer. My wife and I, we're huge on our faith side. Okay. But in business, faith is usually way too expensive. All right. Because business is not about leap of faith. It's about leap of skill. You have to develop a skill. You must develop a skill. And this is probably one of the reasons why you're on here, that you want to develop that skill. And this is why I teach people on the importance of understanding and developing that skill versus trying to do management by application, which is to try to pass it on to someone else that's going to, quote unquote, do it for you. And it becomes, guess what? An umbilical cord that you're tied to that, right? Like imagine for the folks that says, hey, Facebook ads are doing all this kind of ad stuff. Well, guess what? If you don't have a fundamental understanding of how that works, right, you're always going to be stuck on paying them, a servicer. Now, if you're a little bit sophisticated, like some of my, like Frank, I see you on here, right? You guys will first start off with that and then bring it in-house, right? You'll hire a contractor to do some stuff, you get some results, then finally you bring them in-house. Okay? But it is expensive. Absolutely expensive. All right? Now, why am I telling you this, okay? Because let's talk about real estate lead generation world in our industry. And what do you have? You have what? You think you have a lack of leads. So I don't got enough leads. So what do? You search for answers. Or consciously or subconsciously. Doesn't really matter. Okay? You're searching for answers. Right? We play on this. I personally play on this, consciously and subconsciously. Okay? You think you have a lack of leads, so you search this. Then guess what? You find an answer. And then when you find an answer, you either buy or don't buy. That's what happens. But the truth is this. All right? There's a confirmation bias that's going on when you think that you have a lack of leads. Because you're confirming that, hey, you know what? I have an issue with lack of leads. So you're searching for this. So when you search for an answer, you're trying to find an answer that you already are predisposed to. Like, for example, maybe you talk to a friend that's doing this thing and you're just like, oh my gosh, this online stuff is working really well for them. Let me check it out. Oh, this thing, that little widget is working for them. Let me check it out. And you start searching. And then when you find it, you either do the thing that they're talking about or don't do the thing. Now, when you do the thing that they're talking about, you either don't do it 100%, meaning that you may do some of it and you're just like, oh man, it didn't work. It works for them because they're special. Or you don't do it at all and be like, I can't, it doesn't work in my marketplace. All right? Now, regardless of what it is, the issue is right here, in my opinion, the beginning. Is the bias that you have where you believe that you have a lack of leads. And if you understand this, I can at least help you start to transform the way you look at marketing in our industry. All right? So how do I prove that there isn't, okay? And why this shiny object syndrome of, hey, trying to go get that next widget and this stuff is going to go ahead and magically save your business is this, okay? Look at this, all right? Abhancer, okay? So this is kind of an old one I pulled up, but I use this as an example, right? Guys, you want six-pack abs? Go get Abhancer, right? Kid you not, someone buys this stuff. Right, look at this, all right? If you're a lady, you probably know this, and if you're a guy, you should know this, is that there's things called Photoshop. Right? So the magazines that you see, the pictures that you see, sometimes online, it doesn't look like that. So here's Jessica Alba here. A picture on the left is Photoshop, picture on the right isn't. So it's not what you see, right? But our brains, if you didn't know that was in Photoshop, you're looking at this and you're like, man, she is gorgeous, she is beautiful. Right? And then if you want to think that this really works, it's silly, but it's a confirmation bias, right? So again, why am I telling you this? This is why when a company sells a product or service, aka that thing that will change your business, most people get no results. Right? Most people don't. All right? Now, why is that? Is because you didn't really understand the fundamentals of why things do the things that they do. So, what's the number one question you asked when it comes to lead generation? Right? Now, a recent survey I asked, right, says, hey, you know what? What are some of the most common questions you ask? So type them in. What are some of the common questions you have asked if you ever said the term, I have lack of leads? Type them in. And I'm going to take a sip of water here. And let me know if you're following along so far. Where do I get them? How do they convert? How do I get more? What's the ROI? Right? Where do I find them? Which one converts? All right? Good questions. So really, I've come to realize this. How good are those leads? Right? Was the most common question. And really, how I say is, will this blank work? And it's really used usually to me. All right? Now, this question is really a challenging question for the folks who have marketing background, for the folks who have run their own campaigns, right? We've had long discussions about this, and you guys know my opinion on this, right? When people ask me, hey, does this work, right? And then it's the wrong question. right? Because if you asked, will this work, like an ab answer, I'm using an extreme example, right, to someone, will it work? Will I see six-pack abs? What's the answer? Yeah, look at this guy right here. He got six-pack abs. Look at him. He got six-pack abs. Oh, I want to take a picture and I want to look like a model. Will it work? The answer is what? Yeah, Photoshop it. All right? So it's not the right answer, in my opinion. I know I'm giving you extreme examples. Frank said it's pretty extreme, okay? Yeah, but hopefully you get what I'm talking about, right? Because this is the common question that I get asked. So let's talk about this, right? Because it's about the sales cycle understanding at the end of the day, right? So how do you get a sale? Is what? Let's reverse engineer. They have to become a prospect. And then from there, you have leads. That's it. 3 steps, in my opinion. You get leads, you get a prospect, you get a sale. So the question I asked myself early on in any marketing that I did was the framework of WIAL, which is the definition of what is a lead. Okay, what the heck is a lead? And I'll ask again, if you've seen me talk about this, you probably know, but what is a lead? Type it in the chat box. And let's actually open it up and let's have some conversation on here. Let's see, where are you? Let's see here. Let's have some conversation with, what about, come on, type it in. You guys are quiet today. Let's see, who have I not talked to? All right, person who raises his or her hand that want to buy or sell. Okay. Potential buyer or seller, a customer that might buy or sell, someone who is interested or motivated. Okay. Now, all of those things, in my opinion, right, someone who has responded to some type of initial outreach, all right, Dean, you know the answer. I think you heard me talk about this, Dean. So the answer is this, in my opinion, because I started asking this, pacing back and forth into the office and says, what is a lead? What is a lead? Because all these people are selling products and services to me about leads. So what is a lead, right? I simply boiled it down to this, a way to communicate your products or services. Right? That's what I broke it down to. And then more specifically, it came down to a lead equals a name, address, phone number, preferably a cell phone, and an email. So that way you can communicate your products and services. And I've come to realize these things rarely changes. Those people who sell you products and services will tell you that these things changes, right? So Dean said, I was taught this by a real estate coach. Good. That's good. So it's name, address, phone number, cell phone, and email. That's really what it boils down to, right? Everyone else outside of industry who has a monetary interest in what you do because it is tied into your actual what? Services that they're selling you, okay, will make you convinced otherwise. Right? Please understand this, okay? Other people in our industry that's going to sell us products and services to convince you a lead is something else has most likely a monetary interest on their side, right? Meaning that they're getting paid for doing something, okay? Because this is the starting point. If you understand this, then the rest of the stuff becomes easy, all right? So please understand that. So then the next question I ask myself is, okay, how the heck do I get this, all right? Name and address, quite simple. Public records, right? We have access to this, public records, all right? Public records. Phone and email. I said, dang, who, what, and how? All right? That's what I said. If it's phone and email, who, what, and how? And this is where a lot of the discovery came in, all right? This is not something that magically I figured out last month or something like that, all right? It was a journey, and it was a thing where I had to discover some hard ways. I spent a lot of money, time, investigated. I reached out to people outside of my industry, and this is where I'm going to break down. Okay, so any questions so far, please? Because I'm going to start breaking down kind of hierarchy because I've been asked throughout this past week of people hitting me up and says, oh yeah, ready to rock and roll. We got some campaigns. We got some going on, this and that. And I come to realize many of you guys and gals have never heard me talk about this. And this is the reason why I'm covering this, all right? So lost sound might be the internet connection on your side. For anyone else, brilliant, thank you. A way to communicate our product service. Got it back, thanks. Okay, great. All right, cool. And we will have a live Q&A. So again, please, if you have any questions, type them in the actual chat box, all right? So let's talk about this. So here are some slangs, all right? I'm going to give you some slangs and other ways people say stuff when it comes to how to get anyone's phone number, email, or both, all right? So here it is. Write them down now or later. All right, because this is going to help you understand what's happening, and when you understand this, when you go out to the servicers to be able to get the phone numbers and emails, you will have a fighting chance of getting the best information, right? And the example on why I tell individuals on, hey, you need to know this stuff is I tell people it's kind of like a buyer that calls you on a sign or something like that, or a buyer that calls you or something like that, and you know damn well that just based on the questions that they ask, they're not really that serious, right? Have you ever had that? Or that buyer is what? The buyer is pretty much sounds like they're going to be a tire kicker or they're going to be a pain in the butt, okay? Have you ever had that? You're just like, oh yeah, this buyer's going to be a pain in the butt. This person's going to be that. Maybe even a seller, okay? Or someone, okay? Maybe you have a friend like that. I don't know, right? Where you know they're a pain in the butt, right? So again, these servicers that, and I'm going to break down each one, they hear that from you. Most likely they're not going to do business with you. All right, so it's important to understand the language and what's going on. So skip tracing, it's called skip tracing or skip tracers or skip trace, or another slang is skip. All right, so what is skip tracing? It comes from the private investigator world, okay, the PI world. So that's why right here there's another term that says PI search. All right, this term has become very popular in the investment world community. Why? Is because these quote-unquote gurus sell this stuff. So the gurus, we like to come up with our own names and stuff like that. So it sounds like a very magical new thing that you're learning, right? But it's literally a slang term. And it comes from private investigators and basically people who are recovering vehicles, right? Meaning that people didn't pay on their cars, right? The repo man, and they're trying to repossess a car. They're using quote-unquote skipping someone because someone has skipped out on their debt. You're trying to skip trace them, as in locate, skip trace locate to find where they're at so they can get that asset back. Or a debt collector. Okay? And within that, instead of doing it one at a time, meaning you're taking information and trying to get someone's phone number or address one at a time, the key term that you have to understand is this term batch. All right? Just like the term batch, it means what? You can do everything at once. All right? Batch is that you can do everything at once, right? Because the old way of skip tracing, like if you go back to the early 90s, 80s and stuff, right? You literally have to sit there and you have to sift through stuff, call people, right? Cross-check information, right? And you're doing it one at a time. But because as technology has evolved now, you can literally get a record of 100, 1,000, or whatever it is, and boom, you can get it back, right? Okay, so that term is called batch. Okay? Now, other slang term is reverse address search, reverse name search. All right? Skip locate, right? PI search, in-depth investigation, trace location or trace locate, right? These are all kind of slang terms. All right? So any questions on this? The utility of what it all does is basically gives you phone numbers and emails and an address, right? If someone only has their first name or something like that, then they move, then you can skip trace and you can get their new address and phone numbers or wherever they're at, all right? So hope that answered your question. All right, now, in the data world, in the data or data world, the term we will be using is appending data. Meaning we simply want to add missing information to a data or data set we already have. All right? I'm trying to layer it on. So again, pay attention to this, okay? This is going to get, for some of you guys and gals, it's going to feel like I threw a wet, heavy blanket at your face, or you're like trying to drink out of a fire hydrant or something like that, all right? But if you have that question, please type it in so we can have a conversation right on here, okay? So again, it's the missing information, meaning what? We talked about a lead as what? A simply name, address, phone/cell, and email, right? Because these things typically don't change unless they move, obviously, but, all right? So we already established that name and address is easy to find based on public records, right? So if you have that information, you're appending that data, meaning you're adding the missing information, in this case, the missing information of what? Phone numbers and emails. And we want to do it at scale, or we want to do it in literally batch format, right? Batch format. All right, that's the key. Questions? All right, I don't see any. So let's get into this. Now, there are only 3 companies that have almost all the information on you. Right? There's 3 companies. Now, why do these 3 companies have it? Is because you actually give it to them. Right? And or the companies that you do business with gives it to them. You might be like, what? They're giving my information? Yeah, they are. Right? Now, who are they? Boom. Equifax, TransUnion, Experian. Right? That's it. And they have a data appending service. All 3 of them. All right? Some call it differently than others. I'm going to give you an example on each one. So can you give me an example? So don't worry. I'm going to show you some examples. And not only that is I'm going to even show you a report from one of these and why I am very particular about explaining the process of this, okay? Because many of you guys and gals simply thinks it's just like a property inspection company or an appraisal company where you just simply pick up the phone and you're just like, hey, by the way, I just want to order this. No, okay? You're about to see why they're very particular about this, and because of probably a breach that just recently happened, it's going to become a little bit more harder. Can anyone guess what that breach was? Let me know. So again, Equifax, TransUnion, Experian, okay? So let's break each one down. All right, so Experian. Boom, do you see that? Data append services. It's right on there. Right, if you go to their website, they have that. Right? Define unique attributes of your best and most profitable customers. Anticipate likely future behavior and buying trends. Identify prospect like your best customers for new growth opportunities. Right? Time-saving targeted packages or custom append. The choice is yours. Let me highlight this. All right? It's right there. Okay, so they have that. Now, what is the time-saving ones? Well, I want cell phone numbers. I want emails, right? You can do that. All right? And please, if you have any questions, type them in the actual chat box, okay? So that's Experian, right? Here's Equifax, all right? Currently, right now, I believe their site is being changed, so I have to pull up some old ones. But then here's this one. They have a phone one, but I wanted to pull up to show you an example. They have what? They have something called email append, right? It's data appending, but they call it email append. So if you need someone's emails, they'll what? They'll append it for you. Right? Literally on here. Okay? It's on there. All right? And I have signed up for all of them, and I'll explain which one is the best, okay? So here's another one, okay? TransUnion. Right? So TransUnion recently, I don't even want to say recently, okay? They bought out a company called TLO. So they have a completely different branch now, but you can see right on the screen here, right, is that they have that, right? And they have acquired another company called Merlin Data. And if you have to be a guessing man, all right, and for folks that have kind of the lending side background, right, when it comes to your FICO score, right, Fair Isaac Company score, right, which one do lenders typically like? Do you like the FICO score for TransUnion, Equifax, or what? Experian. Which one do lenders like? Come on, put it in. And another question I'll ask that with those question marks on credit score, right? Why are the credit scores different? All 3 of them, right? That's another one. Why is it different? Is because they all have what? Different information on each individual. Now, they're competing companies, right? Okay, please understand that. These companies are competing companies. Right? They're competing companies, so they have different information. We have people saying, yep, they weigh in different factors, TransUnion, yeah, okay, now you get it. All right? Now, the best data so far anything else comes from, in terms of record, actually finding phone numbers, is TransUnion, all right, or connected to TLO. All right, so we had, what is this? I'm trying to get to the question here as it's coming in. So let me see here. Stephen asked, can we actually get it from them at the scale that we would work, or will they reject us? We'll talk about that, Stephen, okay? So, Rima said, I heard they are very expensive and require big batches. What But what I'm going to challenge you, Rima, okay, and anyone else to saying, hey, what's the cost on this, okay, is this is the reason why I spent a good 20 minutes, 15 minutes talking about what is a lead, right? I said, what is a lead, right? What is a lead? Because we have to fundamentally change the way we look at a lead for us to be able to say, okay, is this a good investment or a bad investment? Because the term expensive is all relative, subjective, and what objective to our experience. Right? You talk to me and say, hey, invest 100 grand in something. Someone was going to be like, oh my gosh, that's so expensive. I can't do that. Versus someone else be like, oh yeah, no sweat off my back. Right? You got to be aware of these things. Okay? So I challenge you that. I challenge you to think differently. So again, this is from TransUnion. It says what? They have what? Unlisted landlines and cell phone utilities. Right? Other assets, employment, social. And this is the reason why they're becoming very, very hard. Do you see this? Employment and social security numbers. Right? Even of relatives and associates. They'll even give you criminal background history. They'll even give you assets. All right? Now, obviously, we only care about the phone numbers and emails and stuff like that, right? Because we're kind of, all right, businesses, right? Name of aliases, etc. They have this. All right? Now, isn't it pretty scary where if someone has your social security number, what they can do with it? Right? Ask yourself that. Okay? It is, definitely, right? So any questions on this? And would you like to see how it looks like if you were to actually pull data from them? Let me know in the chat box, because that's what I have planned. If you're not interested, then I don't know why, but yeah, because I'm going to show it to you, okay? Yes, show. Yes. Good. Please show. I would like to see. Okay, so this is the stuff that most people are not privy or do not have the ability and will never see. Okay, why? Is because one, when they contact these companies or they'll hear someone else, outside, right? They'll be like, oh yeah, oh cool. Someone said use TL. Oh yeah, use Experian Equifax. I'm going to do some data pen stuff, right? But not understanding how to even get an account, right? Or how to talk to these people. They approach them and they'll be like, yeah, such and such told me to hit them up and says do this, and then guess what? They'll be like, sorry, we don't do business with this type of people. Sorry, and you can never get through the front gate because you don't even know what questions to ask, how to fill out the application. Okay, so let me first show you the report. Okay, this is the comprehensive report, and this is from a TLO. Okay, now I've retracted, meaning like I've hidden the information because I do not want people to see this. So this is the screenshot of a comprehensive report that you can see, and what I want you to pay attention to this is this. Okay, and the people that have investment background. All right, people that have like bought and sold or flipped notes in the secondary market, right? Meaning that you're buying kind of like even defaulted notes and stuff like that. So I learned this in the last down cycle where I was looking heavily to flip defaulted notes. Right? So we would do a lot of things to make sure that the note that we're possibly going to acquire at a discount, okay, is making sure that, hey, we're not going to get screwed and we're going to make money. All right, so this is where I got really in depth and we started learning a lot about this and the importance of this. And then we kind of tied it into actually discovering and using it for just single family flips and stuff like that and marketing and things like that, right? So, all right, so you can see here they have what? The name, but look at this, all right? Here is the SS number. They'll give you the social security number on this puppy, right? Here's the possible phone number. Right? Mobile, 3 numbers, accuracy, 99.9, 83%. Here's a landline of 29% accuracy. Here's an email address that they're going to give you. Here's some couple of indicators that they're going to give you as well right here. It says what? Bankruptcy, yes. Liens, yes. Judgments, yes. Properties, yes. Corporate affiliation, no. Criminal/traffic, yes. Right? They literally tell you this stuff. All right? Now let me erase this. Let me go into the next one, okay? So here is some stuff on here, okay? So this person, clearly, for the purpose of, this was an actual seller I was going after, and this is the reason why I pulled it out, okay? That I was looking at. I was trying to do like a 6-figure flip on this one of these stuff, right? So I was pulling it up. So you can see here, this one person has an arrest on 6/22/2010. Bail amount was $55,000. Booking date, release date, where they were actually, put in jail for. It even gives you the height, weight when they were actually measured, right? You get what I'm trying to say? Like literally, they have everything on you. Depending on what state you're on, sometimes you even have a mugshot, right? Like people in Florida, you pull it up on that, boom, instantly a mugshot will come up, okay? All right? They are going to know everything about you on here, all right? So again, here's a criminal detail. It's a felony. So imagine like you're about to meet a seller, right? And you pull this up, and then they have a felony record. What would you do? Would you be a little bit more cautious? Would you maybe tell a friend or two that you're going to meet this particular seller before you do? What if it's an actual buyer? All right. Now, number one thing, okay, is please understand this, okay? I'm not telling you to discriminate. Okay? That's not what I'm telling you. Do not get it wrong, okay? Do not get it wrong. All right? Now, look at this, okay? You look at felony, but then you look at it and then you're like, oh, they got a felony for possession of marijuana for sale. And you're kind of like, now you're going to be like, okay, depending on if you're, for it or not, you're going to be like, I don't know. Should I or should I not trust this person? Right? Very interesting thing. Okay? Here's some other stuff, right? Other criminal records, right? Addresses, boom, there's all the addresses. Here are some of the actual what? Loans against it, or loans that they've taken out on this. You can see right on the screen here, okay? And you can see this, another felony, right? So he has two of them, right? He has two of them of possession of marijuana. So clearly this man likes marijuana. I said man, shouldn't have said who it was, but yeah. Okay, so the seller, yeah. All right. Now here's some other examples, right? Association of areas and phone numbers, right? That you can see. Cited cities, right? You can see where they were at previously, where they lived, okay? You get all this background of this person. Here's the bankruptcies that they filed before, right? So they filed a Chapter 13. It was dismissed and closed. You can see this, where it was filed, right? This was pro se, right? So pro se, so meaning what? It was not pro per. Right? So if you know anything about bankruptcy, right, and you're trying to go after, you're like, oh, no, they got some attorney doing it versus themselves. Versus if they're filing a lot of stuff pro per, you're like, man, this person's probably either smart or someone is helping them out, trying to fill out the paperwork, right? Because they're trying to postpone a foreclosure sale date, right, or things like that, right? Those are things you got to be aware of. You pull it up, you know it, and you're just like, oh, crap, right? So now the question is this. How would you use this tool now that you know what you saw? How would you use it? Let's have some conversation right on here. All right? Maybe we unmute Dean here. Let's see here. Because Dean was saying, okay. Dean, you there?
Yeah, I'm here.
Say hi to everyone, Dean.
Hey, everyone.
All right, Dean. Couple things. First off, so you said first off, a lead is what?
Well, it's someone that has a valid name and a phone number or email address.
Okay.
That's what I've been taught. So.
Okay. Now, do you follow that principle? That's another one, right? So you've been taught that, but do you like hardly say, hey, okay, yeah, or have you been conceived, or I'm sorry, have you been kind of swayed into believing that it's not?
Well, since then, obviously, there are tools that you can use to get someone's information. So sometimes, even though you have an address and a name, there are ways to get their phone number and their email address, or even to go and meet them if they're, not a vacant owner or whatever, and they live there. Yeah. So if it's close by, I'm going to probably get in the car, and so to me, that it's still a lead with a name and an address.
Okay. So now you saw a way that we can definitely get what? Phone numbers, and we saw emails, right? And I kind of broke down how would you use this tool?
Yeah, I know you've got a lot of different ways, so I'm excited to hear about this, but just for me, knowing what addresses they've actually where they've lived, you can actually go to Zillow and find out the value of that house and the value of the next house they lived in to see if they're, are they proceeding economically? Are they getting more and more financially stable, or more and more money's coming into their lives, so that, and maybe they move every 4 years, so that they might be coming up on a move in the next 4 years. Mm-hmm. Also, you can, slide dial their phone numbers and send out batch emails and all sorts of stuff. So yeah. Those are just some ideas right off the top.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much for that, Dean, right? So I'm going to mute you here. So again, for anyone else, please type them in the chat box. So what I want you to do to understand is, again, a lead, as Dean said, is what? A way to contact them, right? So for the rest of the folks that have typed in what they would use it for, we'll start breaking them down, okay? So then the question I get asked a lot after this is saying, okay, how do you actually get them at scale, and what are some of the costs, okay? Now, I'm going to break down this. What is the most cost-effective data? All right. So I come to realize that not all data is created equal. All right. So I broke it down to tier 1 vendors, tier 2 vendors, tier 3 vendors. Right? So if you didn't get anything else at all throughout this, right, being on here, pay attention to this. Because if you understand this and you can say, that company's tier 1, tier 2, tier 3, then trust me, you're going to have more success in the stuff of how we generate business in our own company. Okay? So let's talk about what these tiers is. Okay? Tier 1, vendors. We already talked about this. Credit agency. I don't care what anyone else says, okay? If someone else tells you they got better phone numbers and better emails, and they're the best one, okay? And if they are not the credit agency, I say they're basically, selling caca to you. All right? You better question the integrity of that particular individual, all right? Now, obviously, that other person may not know any better, right? Like a salesperson who's selling that product or service, right? They just simply may not know. Right? Why? Is because they have a professional bias from their employer, right? That's telling them, says, hey, we got the best stuff in sliced bread, so hey, you better sell it like it is. So they're selling it, right? So, but again, be aware of that, right? That it comes from the top and then it trickles down. All right? Understand that it trickles down. So then we'll talk about tier 2, but then let's go all the way down to the tier 3, right? Tier 3s are typically big companies, all right? White Pages, Intellius, Spokio, People Finder. Right? And there's some multiple other ones that exist kind of, that are specialty. When I say big, it can be like more of marketed as big, right? And, people know about them, right? The more people know about them, I'm considered they're probably a tier 3 vendor, right? The more people that know. But the true magic is in the tier 2 vendors, all right? Tier 2 vendors. Okay? And these are typically boutique marketing agencies, list brokers, or other data append companies. All right? And these companies do not typically market like outside. It's typically by referral, just like what? The credit agency, right? Data appending. Do they go out and they're marketing openly that, hey, by the way, you can get any phone numbers, any person's email. Are they running Google PPC campaigns to that? No, they're not. Right? They're not. Why? It's because the people who know that they're the best, and guess what? This goes to them. Right? But if they're marketing on Google, running Facebook ads, running PPC campaigns, says, hey, I got the best way to contact them. Go check out People Finder. Oh, go check out Intellius, right? You got to question that. Okay? Now, here are some breakdown on what the cost is going to look like. Again, I said, if we're going to pay attention to anything, pay attention to this, ladies and gentlemen, and then we'll open up to Q&A. All right? So tier 1 credit agencies, right? Depending on the amount of records you pull, it can range from $1 to $3 per record that are appended. Now, can it be a slightly lower? Yes, it can. Okay? But they're going to put a cap on that. All right? What's the lowest I personally have gotten it from a company? Under 30 cents. All right? But I pull tons of records. All right? What are some other things, okay, of tier 2 companies, boutique agency? It can range from 15 cents to $1 per record append. All right? And now, why is that such a big range, right? That's a big range, right? That's a big range. Why? Is because it's going to vary on these companies, right? It's going to vary. It's going to vary on these companies. When was the last time they appended it, right? When did they pull it? Is it a fresh batch? Is it more of age leads that they had and it's in their database and they're kind of selling it at age, they have the age data and they're simply appending off of that and their records are 2 years, 3 years old, right? And then obviously then you have the tier 3 companies like this that'll simply go and sell it and then they will, what? It's either free or it's a yearly subscription or it's dirt cheap, right? What you pay is what you get. Now, there are companies out there that will disguise themselves as a different company outside and they'll charge you a lot more, and then they'll claim that it's the best records that you have. Right? They do that all day long. Right? Think about companies that sell what? Dialers, and they'll say, hey, we got the best numbers. Think about people who sell other stuff and think about, they say, hey, you know what? I got this. All right? Now, can you make money off this? Yeah, you can. Okay, I'm not going to say that you cannot. Right? Do I know people just use this strictly? Yes. But if you're in a metropolitan area that's highly competitive in your marketplace, you probably can't get away with this. You just simply cannot. Right? Just like direct mail, right? Does it work? Yes, 100% it works. right? But it's the source of data, how you manipulate the data, the copy that you use to make it work. And it's kind of the same thing here with the leads. Which vendors are you getting it from? All right. So Joe, I believe, got it from one of the person that I recommend in the training, right? And these people in these tier 2, they change, ladies and gentlemen. All right. They change. All right. They change. Why? Is because sometimes some companies will create that as a business and then they will, guess what, drop down to a tier 3, meaning once they get enough accumulation, boom, they go wide. And or they'll go ahead and simply sell that business completely. And some of these companies, tier 2, get bought out by what? Tier 1 companies. Right? They get bought out by tier 1 companies. Merlin Data was like a tier 2. LexisNexis or Accurant is a kind of like a quasi tier 1, tier 2. Right? But I guarantee you someone's going to buy them out. They're going to buy them out. For the recommendation, it's in the training as well. The ones I recommend in there. So it's in there. All right? But be aware of that these exist. Now, let me go ahead and delete this. The key here, ladies and gentlemen, is do these companies that you're going after, depending on the volume of deals you want to do, how you approach them, and the things that you need is going to vary, right? Meaning what? Do you want batch services? I recommend anyone that has this is to have batch services. Now, what is batch services? Just like the term you're batching something, right? Is that you can send a data tape over to a company, like a tier 2 company, and be like, hey, give me back phone numbers and emails. All right? Do tier 3 companies have batch services? Yes, they do. White Pages have them on an API service. Intellius has it on an API service for my technical people, right? Spokio, same thing, API. And then a lot of other quote-unquote people in the real estate space that are selling services, they tie into that and they make it seem like it's their data. It's not really their data. They're pulling from tier 3 and you're simply selling it to you. And not only that, but your neighbor who's actually got the same services calling those same numbers. And that's why, when you call them, they get pissed off. They're like, stop calling me, right? Expired FESBO, data, stuff like that, right? Like, come on, like, ladies and gentlemen, let's be honest here, man. If you're in the metropolitan area, you're trying to hit those up, would you get business from it? Yeah, you can, okay? But you can't get them like if it's like literally get expired today, they're pulling up on Intellius and Spokane and their phone numbers show up because it's a landline. This seller was a 70-year-old seller or something like that, and they have a landline. It pulls up, and then every other broker in the neighborhood's calling them. Like, come on, you really think you're gonna win? You can, but you're fighting against you're fighting, man. You don't really have a competitive advantage, right? It boils down to, hey, pounding your chest and telling them how good you are. Okay. All right, so any questions on this? And type them in, okay? So again, remember this, okay? A lead is a name, address, phone, in this case, cell, and email, and a way to communicate to your prospects and services. And if you understand that, then guess what? The sales cycle is simply leads. All right, you can communicate to them, and when you communicate to them, that media of communication will change, ladies and gentlemen, as time progresses, okay? It will change, right? Fax machine. I used to do a lot of fax blasts back in the days, right? All right, that changed from what? Emails, right? That changed from what? Even text messages. That changed from what? Direct bypass, okay? And then later on, it will change again. But if you understand at least this, sales cycle, right? Prospect, sales, okay? It'll become a lot easier to actually move with the changes. All right, so now, my warning is this, okay? Do not get records from lead vendors / brokers who specializes in your industry. All right, I'm a big believer in this. The chances of you guys and gals getting great data, like good data, cool. Can you make some money off of good data? Yeah, you can. But great data is where the real money's at. All right? If they specialize in your industry, come on. They're selling it to your neighbor. They're selling it to your competitor. Right? And I know some of my, folks will argue and says, Jeff, well, there's no such thing as competition. Really? Then why is there an issue with monopolies? Why is the government going to put you in trouble if you monopolize something? Come on. Right? So again, if you're in a competitive marketplace, right? It's just like, hey, this data is gold, okay? It's gold, especially phone numbers and cell phone. When's the last time you changed your email address or your cell phone? I haven't changed mine in over a decade, right? And if you understand this phone number and email, now you can use that same thing for other back-end marketing stuff, right? You can upload into Facebook, run ads, upload into Google, run ads, right? Upload into this new widget thing later on that you can run ads on, right? Or you can do the old way of marketing, right? Like what? Pick up the phone and call on these people if you want. Or what we talk about, the DVC, right? Dropping messages. But you have to understand when it says, hey, how good are these leads, right? You can only compare something based on the experience that you have in the past, right? Because someone can say, hey, this is the best steak that you ever had, but if you have never had steak, you don't know what it tastes like. So the only thing that you can compare a lead and the quality of lead is cost, ladies and gentlemen. Once you figure out what the cost is, then you can figure out quality afterwards. Would you agree? Once you understand cost, then you can figure out quality. So that's why I say, hey, tier 2, don't ever work with tier 3 unless you can get like phone numbers for free from tier 3 or something like that. Well, then with all means, you might be able to justify it, right? Okay? But I say, hey, tier 2 or tier 1, all right? And then let's market to them and then convert them, which obviously you learn in the training curriculum, okay? So I'm going to open this up to kind of Q&A right now. So let's do some quick Q&A here to actually break this down because, again, this was a challenge as I'm explaining to individuals running campaigns they're running into, right? So let's see here. Let me see here. Hold on, let's see here. I'm going to unmute. Joe, you still there again? Let me see if you got any more calls, man. And,
Hey,
Joe, you still there?
Literally, I'm going to be honest, probably every 3 to 5 minutes I'm getting a call, bro.
Okay, so obviously you're on this training. I would hope that you were answering them, but it's okay. So any other solid voice messages of someone giving you a property address saying what they want?
Yep, I'm actually getting more text messages than voicemails right now, actually.
Mm-hmm.
I got a appointment Sunday. I got an appointment Sunday at a property.
Uh-huh. Okay.
Already.
That's good. Okay. Well, keep me posted,
Yep.
okay? And you got my number, right? So if you run into something, hey, let's have a chit-chat on this, and let's have you scale this puppy up, okay?
Right? Hey, man, I was really procrastinating about doing straight to voicemail. I told you how I felt about that, but yeah, you was right about that. That looks like that works the best.
Come on, man. So, but hey, remember,
yeah, because I'm telling you, I was trying my best to avoid. I was trying my best to avoid the straight to voicemail, strategy. So yeah.
Well, well, put it this way, Joe. Like for right, because your database that you're hitting is vacant leads, right? So that's why, for me, I rather have you answer it because they're vacant already. Like you already know that you got a specialty raw data and they're vacant. So for you to offer them to say, hey, buy it or, pivot from that to a listing on that, right? It makes it really, really easy versus someone living there. You get what I'm trying to say? So that's why I was telling you that, hey, if you get a call, I'd rather have you answer that call because that call can be easily worth $5,000, $10,000, $20,000. Right? But you hit all of it, so now you at least got 3. So hey, let's turn them into something and get them into money, right? Cool?
Right, you know it.
All right, thank you so much. So what other questions do you guys and gals have? Hold on, let me pause the screen here. Thank you, Joe, for sharing that. So let me open up. So again, this is live Q&A, ladies and gentlemen. So let me see. Otherwise, I'm going to go down the list and start answering some unmuting y'all. So let's see here. Yeah, so if you're wondering, hey, where is the training? It's in the training. This is a supplemental training that I'm doing, so it's in there. But I wanted to at least talk about this because, again, people are just like, this is it. This is not. Where's Steven at? I know we were texting back and forth. Steven, you there? Steven, I see a mic.
Yeah, I'm here.
Hey, say hi to everyone.
Hey.
All right. So, Steven, I know you texted me fairly early yesterday, I guess, or in the morning. Now, did you run that campaign?
Yeah, I ran that campain.
How did that go?
We didn't have much because clearly we must be using, like you said, Intellius data. So I ran it this morning, and results weren't very good so far. That just one person called back and complained.
Okay, so they called back and they complained. It was just like, okay. Now I know you said this was a list. I'm sorry, I'm getting a paper to write notes on this. So you had what? It was a recently sold condo. Is that correct?
Correct.
Okay. Now in that complex, how many units exist?
There's about 240 units in that complex.
Okay. So you have 240 units in that complex, and then the source that you went to get it, if you want to disclose, you can disclose if you want. And then you try to append it or try to get the phone number, and they recovered how many phone numbers?
They recovered 36 phone numbers.
Okay. So now that alone, if you have to be, just on logic, Stephen, right? Well, don't you think that's weird?
Yeah, it's pretty low. Pretty low number.
Yeah. So the quality just based on that, right? If you just use simply logic on that, right, and be like, man, hey, there's over 20 units on here. Really, only 36 people have phone numbers, and then they're claiming that their data is the best one, right? You're gonna be like, no, right? So
right.
So you take that, and then you market it to them. And how many got delivered out of those 36?
I haven't looked at the deliveries yet, honestly.
Okay. Do you have the ability to check right now or no?
I do.
Yeah, pull it up. Yeah, pull it up. Because I'm betting that it was at least 50% or less. I think that's what I texted you.
Hold on.
I'm not going anywhere, so you're good.
Let's see. Still getting used to the new interface here.
Yeah, they changed it, right? So yeah, I'm getting used to it too. So, and that's one of the core parts we're going to be updating.
24.
Huh?
24.
Okay. Well, I guess I was wrong then. See? So, I guess I was wrong. So, so I thought it was going to be less than that, but okay, 24. So it's good. The only issue is what? You just didn't have enough, right? So.
Yeah, well, there's quite a few that were unable to detect voicemail, it says.
Uh-huh.
So
Gotcha.
they're wireless numbers,
Uh-huh.
but they were unable to detect voicemail.
They may have not set it up, right? Is it an older community,
Right.
I'm guessing, or no?
No, it's kind of a young, hip community, actually.
Really? It's a young, hip community? Okay, so maybe their voicemail were full then. Maybe that's the other route. Because if it's full, it will say couldn't detect it. Yeah. So either
That
they
could
didn't
be
set
as
it up
well,
or couldn't.
yeah.
Yeah.
Or they just like text, and so they don't set up their voicemail.
Yeah. Okay. So other than that, well, I'm glad that you did that. Now, other parts, Stephen, did you end up doing the other email campaigns that we talked about? Because I know you
I
said
haven't run them yet. I need to. That's on my list of things to do today.
Okay. Well, please, come on, man. Let's rock and roll, especially your dead ones that you have, right? So, yeah.
Yeah,
So,
that's right.
yeah, hit that. It's about velocity, my friend. So any other questions or something I can help you out right now? Obviously, you got access to me, so you can shoot me a text. But anything right now?
Yeah, I mean, I think my big step here is to just figure out how to properly, as in the training, approach these vendors so that they're not going to reject me the first time out. So I've got an approach out to the training leads, one in 2 days, and no reply.
Mm-hmm.
So far.
Might have been the weekend or something like that. I don't know. So there is the marketing agency. You can go after the other vendors and stuff like that. I think I have another one as well that you can do pay per pull on that. But they're pulling from Experian. That's in there as well. I think that they're pulling from Experian. I think they're dollar something, man. So it's not the best, I think, in my opinion. But I would say wait, go through that, and then you'll be able to do it, man. So, and if you need any help, reach out to me. Okay.
Okay, appreciate it. Thank you.
Cool. Thanks. All right. So again, these are some of the ways. Frank asked, are you going to talk about the vacant? Yeah. So other ways to understand this concept, right, is to what? If you're simply using this on stuff that you're already doing in your business, right? I'm a firm believer of using new way of marketing and simply amplifying what you're already doing, right? Amplify what you're doing. Okay. Now, if you have tried everything and clearly it's not working or something like that, then we got to figure out a new strategy. But the folks that already have some results and already getting some results of what you're already doing is to simply amplify it. All right, simply amplify it. All right, we've done a huge campaign before, even in the mortgage space, before before the rates started changing. Right, we did a huge one. Right, we went and appended data for FHA people that bought property with FHA, single family home, 2008 to 2012. Right, we appended that in Los Angeles County. We had over tons. I'm trying to remember the exact number, but we had that. We hit that list. Boom, that one rocked like gangbusters. Right, it was so easy. It was like shooting, fish in a barrel. Right. Another one, right, is, again, specialty lists that you can go after. You can pull out yourself, right? If it's a very older community, right, you say that actually you reference the community itself, and you do it. I have a case study of it where I talk about a condo in Orange County, actually, that I did this to. Right? We got a property actually acquiring it, and then once we acquired it, we were trying to actually double end it and sell, and we did the exact same thing, and boom, it worked. Right? So again, different ways to do it. What other questions? Hold on, let me see here. Rima asked, I used to be a TLO customer at some point before. Is it going to be easier for me to get TransUnion data? To set up an account with them, they've changed dramatically. Now they do physical inspections, and all the 3 credit agencies most likely probably going to go down that route, if I had to guess, because of after what has happened, right, with the breach. So they're going to do a physical inspection of your office, all right? You're going to have lock to your office. You're going to have file cabinets. All right, and as well as you have to be on a secure network, and they're going to come out, take pictures of your office and things like that. They're going to run background check on you as well, okay? Because remember, I showed you earlier, right? Social security numbers and stuff like that. They don't want to give this access to you, okay? And then the other issue is when you do this kind of stuff and you set up an account with one of the 3 credit agencies, right? And then you're trying to put in data. Okay, and you're hitting the search button, okay? If you do it at a different IP address, right? Because some people try to get smart, right? And they're like, oh, I'm going to have my VAs do this, right? And they'll have their VAs trying to do it. Now, number one, it's very dangerous. You're going to have someone in the other side. Now, you can put a setting so that way they don't see a social security number or something like that, but overseas, and they're searching that, right? And I had a client of mine when I was teaching him how to do that, right? He did that without talking to me first, right? And I was like, look, dude, I said, you better be careful. And why? Is because he has a Middle Eastern name, and he's outsourcing to Bangladesh to do that, and he has someone in Bangladesh searching that. And I said, I'm not trying to scare you, my friend. You've been my friend for a long time, but how is that going to look like? Right? And I was just like, they're recording where you're actually logging in from. Right? And I was just like, don't be an idiot on that, right? So again, those are things to be aware of, right? So now, are there ways that people have figured out how to go around that? Yeah, 100%, right? I'm not telling you to do it, okay? That's not what I'm telling you to do, okay? Yeah, if you want a technical answer, yeah, you could. You can do a log me in account and set up a laptop on here in the U.S. States or in your office, cut it through your network and stuff like that, and then have your VA hop in from a different country and log into that and pull it. Right, you can do that, manual search stuff, but that's pain in the butt. What you're really looking for is batch services. That's what you want to do versus manual pools, okay? Now, can you get batch services from those companies? Yeah, 100%, but you're going to have to pull close to about 30,000 records a month, right? Now, do you have the ability to do that? Number one, probably not. If you do have the ability, can you pull together with people locally in your marketplace to do that, to get batch services? Yeah, 100%. Right? But you got to have some type of trust between those people that do that, so you can pull that. All right? Or you can go and use the tier 2 companies, right? If you don't want to deal with all that. So again, it's totally up to what you want to do, but again, right? Just don't use tier 3 companies. That's what I'm trying to tell you, right? So especially for the folks that are doing online leads, and you're doing online leads, and you're just like, man, I'm paying $30 per phone number and email, and they're tire kickers. You know what I'm trying to say? So what other questions? It says what company it's Rima. It's in there in the training, Rima, the one that Joe used. Let me scroll down. So Rima said, do you advise to buy from tier 2 to speed up the process? Yeah, 100%. Yeah. If you're not sure of tier one and you're only looking to pull like a couple hundred, then yeah, with all means. Yeah. Yeah. So again, ultimately you want to get to tier one, but then to start off, go tier two, but don't start off at tier three unless that phone number is like free or whatever. I think a couple weeks ago, we had Cliff on the line, right? That he was talking about this. He had tier three companies, but he had tons of phone numbers, and we're just like, you know what, screw it, let's try it out. Right? Like, for example, right, you can have tier three companies, but it can be like age data, and then you can try to hit that. Right? Like for example, if you have, I think I talked to, I wonder if are you still in here? Let me see here. I think she left. Yeah, Naya. I talked to Naya, and then she was talking about how, or Nia, I'm sorry, talking about how she has old phone numbers, old expireds, and old FESMO numbers. Right? I'm talking about like 2-3 years old. She was just like, should I hit this? And I was like, yeah, you could hit it if you have it already. And I was like, how many records you guys? Like 100,000. I was like, what? You got 100,000 records? And I was just like, okay, let's hit this, right? So again, can you hit that? Yeah, of course. Let's hit that, right? Because there's no cost in it. But you just have to be smart on how you're going to cut up the list, cut up the data, right? Other things that you can possibly do, right? People that you have already bought leads from, right? Like that's why I'm so huge on putting it on a spreadsheet, putting it on everything. Right? If you have that, it'll be so easy to plug in and boom, get a campaign going. Kelly asks, how do you use this as a back end? Very simple. If there's holidays, right, and you have your current, your sphere of influence or your current clients, right, you can do the exact same thing. Record a generic type of message to, say, on a Christmas, on a Thanksgiving, right, 4th of July, right, Happy New Year, right, like you can use that as a thing. Right, to leave those messages. So you don't have to physically call and leave it, but at least you're touching them. All right. So Hernan asked, is there any way you can get data that lets you know what homes have been vacant for a while? Is there any way you can get data that lets you know what homes have been vacant for? I think he asked the same question twice. The answer is, hold on, Hernan, where you at, man? All right. I think you already know the answer, Hernan, but hold on. Let me unmute you. Hernan, you there? Hello? I think you're muted on your side. Hello? 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 All right, so I'm going to mute you. Let me know if you get a mic or something like that. The answer is, this is where you have to kind of think about this, right? This is strategy that boils down to, right? How do you know if it's vacant? Yes, you could. There are companies out there that will actually sell you vacant leads or whatever, right? They do it for direct mail. There's even companies, especially in the real estate space, real estate investment community, they'll send you data, and I'll give you their sources actually in the training. It's in there, and you can get vacant property lists, and then from there, that's used for direct mail, and then they simply append it, and then get the phone number and market to that. That's what Joe did, I believe. So. Yeah, and Joe's been actually doing direct mail on that list. Yeah. So, what are other ways to get vacant? You have to, this is where, again, I go back to strategy, right? Once you understand it. See, your mind is now working. See, this is what I love. When people are saying, ooh, let me go after this, right? Versus before, you're like, I need more leads, right? Like your brain is working now, right? So I love it. So how do you go after vacant leads? Well, let's think about this, right? Properties that have what? Return mail. Right? That's number one. So if you're already doing direct mail and boom, you're getting return mail. Like someone like Herna, I think you're doing like tons of direct mail. I think you said you do 200,000, right? You have return addresses. Take that return address, right? Boom, append all of that. That's probably, you're sitting on gold, right? Like that's something that I did heavily locally here. And I would purposely just send out freaking postcards at bulk just to get return mail. And then I would take that return mail and then I would literally send it to a company to actually put it on a spreadsheet. Right? And then once we take that spreadsheet, then we would append it and get phone numbers and we're marketing to them. All right? Other ones are specialty lists, right? Property violation lists, right? Do they have abatement orders on those? Do they have judgments on those, right? Other ones are divorces. You can even go, pre-foreclosures, okay? So hold on, let me see here. Let me move some stuff around. Hold on, let me, someone says, can you show me some lists? All right, y'all want to see some, okay. Hold on here. Let me pull some stuff up. Again, keep on typing in your questions, please. I will answer them. All right, so let me pull this up for y'all. So here is a hold on, let me pull this up. So here's a specialty list that I have, right? Let me see here. Let me now move this. All right, so here is, hold on, where is it? Let me move this screen to, boom. All right, so here is a specialty eviction list, right? So here's an eviction. This is an Orange County eviction list, right? So again, it's a very short list. It's not like there's tons of them, right? So this is one particular month that we have an eviction list on, and you can see here the mailing address, right? The site address, right? And mailing address, the eviction list, right? So meaning that someone filed, guess what? We're going to evict this person. Anyone know the name or term of that in the state of California? Obviously, if you're outside of California, it's going to be different, but yeah, and then if you see here, you go in here, what? Tier 1 phone numbers, Tier 2, Tier 3, Tier 4, Tier 5, Tier 10, and then you have email addresses as well, right? Boom, 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 right? I love it when people know. Yep. UD, unlawful detainer, right? So these are some of the ways. Is there a way to convert absentee data to vacant data? Easy way? Really, there isn't. There really isn't, unless you know that it was returned. You could cross-reference it with the United States Post Office. There's a way that you can upload the actual data into the United States Post Office, and it can tell you. Right? You can do that. There's some technical things you have to do to manipulate the data and stuff like that. But for you, you have the phone numbers. Come on, you have the phone numbers. Let's hit that first. Let's not overcomplicate this, right? So, where do you pull the UD list? This is a specialty list that I get from a list broker, and the list broker gives me only the site address, the mailing address, and the owner's name, and then from there I append the data to get the phone number, right? And if you want to get this, you could go to the court and you can actually pull it up, right? But I wouldn't recommend anyone to do that. I think that's just foolish. Takes way too much time. Yeah, I definitely would not do that. Yeah, so that's one. Great question, by the way. It's in the training, the list broker. Again, folks, if you're asking for who it is, right, it's in the training, okay? I cannot say that enough. It's in the training, right? It's in the training. I give you the resources, right? So I want you to understand the strategy behind it and how you use it, okay? That's more important to me, right? It's like you're saying, hey, I want to, I want to get somewhere, and then you're just like, hey, what car should I get? It's just like, come on. Like, first you got to understand what is a car, right? You got to understand, hey, how do you start a car? What's the, I know extreme examples there, but what are the questions? Good questions, by the way. Let me see here. Let me kind of go through this, and I'm trying to get to all the questions here, so and this moment in time is for y'all, so if you're quiet on here, I don't know why. Who is this? Someone has a funky email address. Huh. Someone has a funky email address. I don't know who that is. All right. Let's see here. So they said, can you show me another list? Okay, sure. I'll show you another one. You want to see another one? Let me see here. Here, I'll give you one. So I was debating. I was debating last year, right, of possibly buying a new place for myself, right? I got married, and I was just like, you know what? Let me find some places that I want to buy, and I was just like, you know what? Maybe I should move into a little condo I should buy. I'm not sure, right? So I started thinking about it because I used to live in 1100 Wilshire, which is in downtown, if you know where that's at. I was in the 27th floor. They have like a pool on the 15th floor and stuff like that. It's right smack in the heart of downtown. So I like that kind of building, right? So I was just like, you know what? Is there some deals that maybe I can have where someone just want to unload and someone wants to buy? So this was just sheer fact that I wanted to find a place for myself and my wife, right? So I was thinking about it. I was possibly even thinking about renting it out, like on Airbnb or something like that, right? So I pulled a list, right? And here's the list. Yeah, because that was kind of the thing. I was just like, hey, worst case scenario, if I can't do it, I'll just rent it out on Airbnb and I'll charge a premium on a day rate, right? So I pulled this out, and literally I called it luxury condos, and I pulled up stuff in the Wilshire corridor, the marina areas, and some of the high rises, and you can see here, so you can get a good idea. Hold on, let me filter this so you can see this. Sort, boom. Oopsie, I went to the mailing address site. Okay, let me sort the boom. So here we go. Right? So we have literally, see this apartment buildings, right? Boom. Like, right? You can pull this. Right? Here's the full apartment building, right? Boom, 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 right? Literally addresses for that. And you can see right on the screen. Right? And hold on, let me go to the one that's, this is a fairly decent sized list. So yeah, so here we go. So here's the 1100 Wilshire one, right? So obviously higher number it is, you're up higher, right? So again, you go something like that, right? And then you're just like, oh, okay, here it is. There's the phone numbers, right? So that's what I was looking at. And then we ended up just hitting it as to get listings, and we got some deals out of it. So that's what it really turned into. Instead, I couldn't find something that I liked, and I moved to a different city and stuff like that, you know. So. But you can even tell, like, look at this one, right? Like this one. This one's Choi. You can see here his email's berkeley.edu, right? So again, he's a very intelligent individual using a Berkeley email address, right? Someone has caltech.edu, right? So again, they went there. Probably engineer type, just looking at that, right? So you're going to have to hit them with a lot of factual stuff, right? So again, these stuff will help you out in anything that you do. So what are the questions? Great questions, by the way. Kelly said, can I do that to find buyers? Yeah, 100%. Yeah, that's something that I tell people all the time, right? Is like, if you're predominantly working with buyers right now, right, and you have never went on the listing side or the investment side, right, I say simplify it and use the technology for what you already do. Right? So you can go literally and find a building, like let's just say if the 1100 Wilshire was just apartments, right? And you're just like, oh, okay. And you know for the fact that the address, the unit number just simply changes, right? The same thing. So you can take this and then you can append the address, and then you have what? The phone numbers for the person who lives there, which are renters. Now you might be like, well, how do I know these renters are qualified? Well, if they're paying on the rent like $4,000 a month, $3,000 a month, because based on what their website says, you know that they're qualified. How else are they paying it? Right? Pretty simple stuff. And then you can append that, boom, drop a message. Right? Another one is taking that exact same information, go on the MLS and look for rentals on the MLS, right? Meaning that you can go on the lease section of your MLS, right? Go in there and then search ones that are 10 months old. I talk about this in the training a lot. 10 months old, right? Why 10 months old? Because within 60 days, they're going to have to move or renew. Right? So if you do that and you pull it up, you know, one, what they leased out for, because it says on there, sold, as in like, hey, it was leased for $2,000 a month, $3,000 a month. You got their address because that address is on the MLS. Append that data, boom, drop a message and say, boom, you're interested in buying a home, being a homeowner. Right? A lot easier to do. Right? A little bit different way of thinking, I'll admit that, right? It's not as simple, black and white as before of just saying, hey, can I have a farm area of this zip code or this city, and please just send me leads, right? No, you have to actually think about this a little bit. But again, that's where I challenge y'all to do, because if you understand this, trust me, right? As the mode of communication changes, right, where we can send literally, artificial intelligent 3D images of ourselves through people's, phone on their watch or whatever, and boop, that message pops up and it's like, hey, hello, as long as you understand how to manipulate the data, you're going to do really well. Right? Hopefully that made sense. Great stuff. Cool. Let me know in the chat box if you got value out of today's training. It's a little bit different than usual training that I have done. Because the sheer fact of questions I got, this is the reason why I covered this. Oh, other things, okay, that I want to talk about. Number one thing that I want to talk about, okay? Because of what has been happening in this year, even last year, and things like that, all right, which is natural disasters, all right? And if you've been on my training for a long time, I've been talking about certain things, especially in Southern California as well, is what we haven't been hit by a big one in a while. Certain parts of the country hasn't had natural disasters that people have lost lives, okay, that cannot be saved. People have lost properties. All right, precious things that if they didn't, protect it, they're losing photo albums, things like that, right? That has some value that you can't put dollar amounts on, right? Now, I've been asked the question, should you market to those people using this technology, right? Now, the answer to that is a yes or no question, all right? You know your area better than I do. I'm not physically there, so I do not know what is happening on ground floor. I can imagine, based on what I've talked to, people who are in the, I talked to a friend of mine who's a friend of mine, and he does acquisition for us, is Dante. He was actually part of the FEMA rescue team back when Katrina and Rita hit, and he was telling me about some of the stuff that he saw, and I was like, holy smokes, I think it's insensitive, depending on the type of message that you leave, and if you're not careful of it, you can really hurt your name doing this stuff, all right? So I don't recommend just openly just going boom and hitting it and be like, hey, you know what? Hey, did your house get blown away by the hurricane? You want to sell this property? I can help you, right? Like you do that stuff, man. I'm gonna grab you, through the computer somehow, figure out a way to shake you by the lapel. Okay, if you do that kind of stuff, right? Now, if you're doing it for, like, some of my clients have done it where they've done it to actually help the community, like to tell people to, hey, go to their house, go to the places that they're at. So if they need water and food like that, right, to get the message out, with all means, do it. Okay, but right now, if something happens, you're immediately thinking about commerce and immediately thinking about how to make money off these people. Come on, man. There's something else, okay? Now, can you play offense and be ahead of the curve, okay? Now, if you've been with my training and you've been my client for a long time, some of you, Kelly, right, Frank and stuff like that, I've been talking about, hey, I've been purposely appending data on properties that are on the San Andreas Faults. Right, and I've been literally collecting data for now a year and a half on that. Right, is because I'm playing chess versus checkers. All right, because it's going to happen here locally. I don't know, if you're up north, you're right, Washington, they're even saying the whole West Coast can actually disappear. Right, so I've been doing that, right, and being able to do that. So again, once you understand this, right, trust me, you don't have a lead generation problem, you have a conversion follow-up problem. Okay. Said Julie, I need to get started. Yep, 100%. Let's get started, Julie. Let's roll up our sleeves, put on our overalls, right, and let's get to work, right? So again, please be careful on how you use this technology. I know if you're listening to my voice and you're not that type of person, okay, but I cannot stress that. Please, do not abuse it. Do not do some silly stuff with it, right? Okay. So, any other final questions, feedback, suggestions? Let me know in the chat box as I take a sip of water here. I'll go another 5 minutes or something like that, depending on the Q&A that's coming in. Good stuff. Patrice, thank you so much. Good, okay. What CRM do you advise to use, okay? Here's a question. What CRM, all right? So what CRM? The answer to that CRM question is the one that you're going to use. You might be like, Jeff, that's a jerk answer. Right? What do you mean? I'm asking you a legitimate question, Jeff. What CRM to use? And you're telling me the one that you're willing to use? Come on, that's why I asked you the question, right? But really, truth is, think about this, right? Is that people do, just in traditional real estate, okay? Let me just explain, okay? And people do over $300,000, $400,000, $500,000 in GCI simply on Excel spreadsheet. Simply on Excel spreadsheets. Right? Investment world, same thing. Right? You can do over 7-figure on the investment world just on a simple spreadsheet. Do you need a sophisticated CRM? No, you don't. But as I said earlier, what did I say? Cognitive bias. Servicers and people who sell you stuff will make you believe that this is the kind of stuff that I need to solve my problem. I have a client of mine that simply uses a notepad. Right? They launched a campaign, it calls, they have a notepad, and they write down all the stuff in this notepad. Is it inefficient? Probably. Right? Can it be better? Yeah. But he's not looking to build a multi-7-figure business out of this, right? They're just simply using it to hit, 200,000, 300,000, right? And that's how he's been doing it because he's an older gentleman, right? That's what he does his business with. He's so used to doing it on pen and paper. He has such beautiful handwriting. Me, I have chicken scratches as handwriting. Like sometimes I write on my whiteboard and I forget what the heck it looks like. Why? Is because I'm not trained to write. I've been trained, I grew up on a computer stuff, right? So what CRM do I advise people to use is to use the one that you're willing to use, right? But if you are going to use something on a computer base, just use simple spreadsheets. Like you see it right on the screen, right? That's it. Like you can do that. So, wish I had known this 4 months ago. It would have saved me $18,000 after signing up for this. But this, what? Hold up, man. Where are you at, Dean? You spent 18 grand? Dean, I sent you a pin. I think you're on your phone. Hop on the phone. I want to ask you a question on that. What did you spend 18 grand on? Dude. Where are you at, Dean? I'm sending you a pin again. Yeah, I think you're on your phone. Rima says, makes sense. Yeah. So hopefully that answered your question, Rima. Yeah. So again, it's just simple. Add it to what you got going on, right? Don't complicate things. We try to complicate things in our business. I've done it many times. Look, I'm not in a ivory tower saying, hey, I haven't done the exact same thing. Yeah, I have, right? But really, the CRM stuff is a back end thing. Okay, back-end thing, meaning that it's a back-end marketing stuff, right? But if you need to make income, you can get away with simply just doing the front-end stuff, right? The back-end stuff is easy. Front-end stuff, nailing that down, is one of the most challenging and difficult stuff. I think, Dean, you have audio now. Dean, you there?
Yeah, I'm here.
All right, say hi to everyone again, Dean.
Hi to everyone again.
All right. So, Dean, what the heck did you like? Tell me, what did you just said? Because you said 4 months ago you did something. Like, what happened?
Yeah, it's a CRM. It's kind of like a Tiger Leads type thing, but it's not Tiger Leads or anything like that. It's a CRM. It's pretty powerful. So you can do slide dial with it. You can send out batch emails and all that stuff. So, but if I had known this, about 4 months ago, I could have done it all myself and used it, and possibly it might have been a little bit less expensive, but there's a lot of campaigns that's built into it, and they append new data in there about every, 100 to 200 leads every few days that they actually put in there that are already augmented or appended. So,
okay. Which is pretty cool, I guess, in a sense. But hold on. Let's bust out a calculator and let's do some math on this. So has the numbers that you've gotten from there, have you made money? Huh?
Well, it took me about 2 months to actually, it took about 3 months to actually learn the software, to learn how it actually works, and I'm just now getting into the slide dial, but I didn't get in. That wasn't part of their training.
Okay.
So, but in listening to you, I'm like, wait a minute, I can do that with the software I currently have. So,
yeah.
So it's $15.97 a month. So if you annualize that out for a year, which I've got a year contract with them, somewhere around 18, 19K, whatever that is.
So see, this is where I tell people, right? So if it's 18,000, right? Now we can do the easy math on this, right? If you're appended even with the tier 1 company on dollar a record, how many leads would you have, Dean?
Well, I had 18,000.
18,000, right? If you do it with a tier 2 company
Right.
at 50 cents a record, how many records and contacts or leads would you have?
I'm sorry, repeat that second question.
If you did it with a tier 2 company, that's like 50 cents a record for easy sake of math. How many records? How many leads would you have?
Well, I'd have 36,000.
36,000, right? Would
Mm-hmm.
do you think that you'll be able to extract a couple $100,000 out of that database?
Yeah, I would think so. I would hope so. If not, something's seriously wrong with my follow-up.
Right? Yeah. Your sales pitch or whatever it is, right? So, yeah. So again, you have it now. I don't know if you're in a contract or not. So with all means, if you're paying for it, right, work it. But again, with the CRM stuff, for anyone else, I say, hey, don't let the thing about the CRM, hold you back from what you need to know, which is the core of it is a lead, is a phone number, email, a way to contact them. And then the next question is, hey, what technology is going to give me the shortest path for them to raise their hand and says yes, or so you can talk to them. Okay? So,
Yeah.
anything else?
So far, I think they've given me about 11,000 leads in that process. So,
Oh, when
so
you,
obviously
okay, so
it's
you have 11,000. Hold on.
way
hold
more
on.
than
Okay, so you got 11,000. That's good. So have you marketed to
Yeah.
them?
Well, that's what I was just learning how to do, and what I've been learning how to do for the past 3 months.
Yeah.
Kind of a slow learner, but no, I'm running my own brokerage firm too, so that's not the only thing that I do.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. So I would definitely take this if you got the phone numbers on this. Boom. Let's drop a message in that sucker, and then let your phone numbers. And especially if you can get a couple of people on your team to answer them, even better. If not, let it go to voicemail, kind of like what Joe experienced, right? Earlier you heard him. He was just like, yeah, man, I'm on this training and I'm getting calls freaking right now. So I would definitely do that. Okay. Let me know. I'm here for you.
Yeah. I was in the process of doing that, so I'll text you and let you know how. But I'm going to do that as soon as we hang up here. I've got it all teed up. I just need to press the button.
Okay. Anything else I can help you out with, or any other questions, Dean?
No, man, you're awesome. Appreciate it.
Okay. Thank you so much. I'm going to mute you here. All right. So anyone else, let me know. Susan said, I like the CRM example that you gave about use the one that you used. Yeah. What was the name of the CRM? I don't think I gave the name of the CRM. And then your name, ask her, you have like, so I don't know what your name is, so let me know who that is. Usually I kick people out if they haven't logged in with their name, but, I don't know who that is. And that's not an email address that I've seen. So I will find out whoever it is. I'm going to backtrack. Just trust me. You're logged in here and you don't have your name on here. So, either come clean now and let me know who you are, or you're on here that you're not supposed to be on here. Yeah. So, I'm new. Okay. So what's your name? I talk to everyone that's going through this program. So, or I do. So let me know. CRM, there are people who have brothers. Is it Hernan's brothers or what? Yeah, I understand you have access to students and stuff like that. Okay. So, when you log in back next week, just make sure that you have your name on there. So, yeah, so what's the name of the CRM? I guess Dean. I guess let me know in the chat box, Dean. I guess someone wants to know. Yeah, so you can do, so the one Excel spreadsheet, you can do that, Google Docs, right? You can do, money tree leads. Yeah, that's what he said. So again, I'm not endorsing the CRM. Please know that. Okay, I'm not endorsing it, because I typically never endorse any CRM or software, outside of the stuff that I actually use. Okay. Why is because CRM changes, and then currently right now in the space that we're in, it's a lot, it's easy to make a CRM. So, but the CRM that you use is the key versus the one that you do not. Yeah. Yeah. And then keep in mind, the other one is like, think about this for a second, right? Like you talk about volume of real estate or volume of transaction, like in the 90s, right? Just think about the people who have, were just simply doing it on a whiteboard, the sales board, right? Or the whiteboard with actual paper, and they're doing tons of transactions. right? So again, it's not CRM. CRM does not fix issues and problems you have in your business. It does not, ladies and gentlemen. If anything, it magnifies the issues and problems that you have, in my opinion. Yeah, you find out real quickly your ability to execute, your ability to delegate, your ability to be able to find out ways to be able to implement things and be able to do that real quickly if, with technology, So ask me how I know that one. So, yeah. And you have to be brutally honest, ladies and gentlemen. That's the most hardest thing about business, right? Remember what I said, leap of faith, right? Leap of faith, it's good. Faith is great, okay, outside of business, in my opinion. But in business, it's a leap of skills, ladies and gentlemen. It's a leap of skills. You have to skill up. Skill up on knowledge. Skill up your board of advisors that you have in your business. Skill up every parts of it, and it's going to help you grow faster with velocity. Yeah, and then the key things is about monetary interest, right? Okay. Sometimes people will have advisors, but these advisors have what? Monetary interest in the outcome of what they do. And then please know that many of these individuals are simply looking through the lens of their past experience and what they have. Right? So if you turn to something for sheer sake of validation, that's what they're going to give you. They're going to validate stuff. But are they challenging you to look in a different side, that counter perspective, that blind spot that you might have because you are running your business? Right? So I challenge individuals to have those people outside, and some of my great friends are that, where they'll tell me and be like, Jeff, you're an idiot. You're missing this. Hey, I know you're going this way, but hey, this. Right? It's the same concept of the business. No one goes into business thinking that it's going to fail. No one does. Let's be honest, right? No one ever goes into business thinking that it's going to fail. Otherwise, you'll be doing the same thing that you're doing. But yet, when I challenge individuals to say, hey, just question the what if of the other side, then they'll be like, no, that can't happen. Right? So when it comes to this, hey, getting your phone ringing, having me able to convert, that's why I talked about the cost of the leads and using that as a measuring stick, and then using any past performance and experience you've had as the secondary measuring stick or the baseline of that, and then taking that baseline information and says, okay, how can it convert? And then what you may find out very quickly is that maybe your ability to sell is the number one thing that's been holding you back. Right? There's tons and tons of people that believe that they're good salespeople, but then in reality they're not. And a lot of those individuals are extroverts. I'll say that again. A lot of extroverts think that they're great salespeople. Why? Is because they're good with people. I like to shake hands, right? But they have never actually learned the sales process. They have never learned tonality, pitch control, right? A little bit of NLP, controlling, create a frame, break a frame, right? Hey, mirroring, right? So they haven't learned that stuff. Versus I've come to find a lot of introverts are one of the best salespeople that I've ever met. All right, and so again, that's what I mean by you don't have a lead generation problem, and you'll find out very, very quickly once the phone starts, lighting up, your ability to be able to delegate, manage, sell, follow up, and what you need. It's going to show. It's going to show, and which is okay because that's the only way you're going to learn. All right, so hope that helps. I went a long-winded stuff on that, so and I hope you understand that that's really what I'm passionate about, to helping people, understand this part of the business, right? All right, so I don't see any other questions. So other than that, you guys and gals should have my way to get hold of me. Get hold of me if you have any questions. I'm here for y'all. I'm going to rock and roll and talk to y'all throughout this week. So love you guys, and take care, and bye-bye.